Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Naruto Explain here, bringing you guys another Boruto Naruto Next Generations discussion. And today, I want to bring up a huge question and concern people have about Sasuke in the Boruto era, especially now that Sasuke's lost his Rinnegan eye, which is the impact of him losing the Rinnegan, why he hasn't replaced the Rinnegan, and what can he actually do to replace his eye. Now, this isn't a whole Sasuke, he's gonna get a new Rinnegan topic that everyone loves to discuss, and I get a suggestion for this topic at least once every Boruto manga chapter release, and in the comment section every time I do a Sasuke and Boruto video, somebody brings this up. You guys know my whole stance on the Hashirama cells thing. He was pumped full of Hashirama cells during the Ninja War by Kabuto, and they were enhanced Hashirama cells at that. It's been 16 years since he got those cells. If he follows the confirmed pattern that we saw at Madara, it's still gonna be a few years before you see a benefit from that, if you even see a benefit at all, which is a reminder, despite what Madara told Obito about awakening his eye just before he actually died, we know for a fact that he awakened the Rinnegan right before the second Great Ninja War, because the Rinnegan was implanted into Nagato as a child. There's a 20-year difference between the first Ninja War and the second Ninja War, and Madara does not die until the third Ninja War is almost over. But we'll go further into that when I release this huge Naruto video that I'm scripting for next year. And as a side note, the Konoha Shinden Chapter 2 review is coming. So with Sasuke, what's next for our favorite Uchiha who's collecting shinobi disability checks? Well, if it isn't a Rinnegan, you might be asking, what's the other option? And it's really quite simple. It's the benefit that comes from attaining another Sharingan. There's actually quite a few ways this can be done. That isn't some random ass pull the leash you going, well, this is a shonen, so of course it had to be done. But rather, these are things that are already set up in the story itself and leave a backdoor path for Sasuke that feels like it's earned. And given how strong the current threats are, our Shadow Hokage might not have to worry about running out of chakra anymore, but he does have to worry about staying alive long enough to train his student like a lot of fans want, or he's about to be an even bigger disappointment in Boruto than his chakra levels once Orochimaru randomly popped up just as Sasuke's chakra recover and snatched his chakra faster than you can click on my link to Established Titles, the sponsor of today's video. Established Titles is a fun and novel way to preserve the natural woodlands of Scotland while helping with global reforestation efforts. It's a project based in historic Scottish custom where landowners are referred to as lairds or lords and ladies in English. With Established Titles, you get at least 1 square foot of dedicated land on a private estate in Edelston, Scotland, and an official certificate with the crest, which has a unique plot number to show you your land. Established Titles plants a tree with every order they receive and work with charities like One Tree Planet and Trees for the Future to support global reforestation efforts. Just as Naruto gets to call himself Lord Hokage, you can officially call yourself Lord or Lady, which now that I have this certificate calling me a Lord, it's going to be on my desk and everybody who comes to my office has to call me the Lord. And you can get it on your credit card or your plane tickets, or you sussy bakas can even use it on your dating profiles. If you go for the romantic route, you can also purchase the couples pack, which comes with adjoining plots of land. The first 200 people purchasing the title pack using my link will effectively be next to my plot within a few minutes of walking distance from it. Depending on how many of you guys want to become a lord or a lady, we can build our own little Naruto Explained kingdom. My late grandmother, who just passed away, not only loved flowers but also trees as well, so I'm gonna purchase one to honor my late grandmother. It makes an amazing last minute gift. Established Titles is actually running an early Black Friday sale, plus if you use the promo code EXPLAIN, you get an additional 10% off. Go to establishedtitles.com/explain to get your gift and help support the channel. Thank you again to Established Titles for sponsoring today's video. So how exactly can Sasuke get another Sharingan? Well, today we're going to look at the 3 most reasonable paths towards getting another Sharingan that don't include Sasuke snatching his daughter's eye and telling her the pain goes away once Sakura will heal her. Jumping right into option number 1, we have the fact that Sasuke's Rinnegan might have been destroyed, but the eye itself, even after the damaged eye is removed, there are still traces of the eye inside of his eye socket, and Momoshiki's Rinnegan didn't just absorb all the chakra in that eye when he stabbed him. That's not some handy dandy special otsutsuki kunai. Sasuke visiting Orochimaru with the intention of subjecting himself to Orochimaru's experiments is one clear path towards achieving this desired outcome. It's actually reasonable, and I'm going to explain to you how. In Naruto's manga, we saw with Kabuto that even when an eye is destroyed, there's still a small trace of DNA left behind in the eye socket, and that alone was enough to be used for reanimation if Obito would have allowed Kabuto access to Danzo's body like he wanted. In Naruto, the usage of small tissues and cells has been something that we've seen used countless times, and in Boruto, this has been taken to another level with the pinnacle of Hashirama cells and ninja tech being combined with a Yamamoto's own nanotech to create the monsters that are Kawaki and the Kara Inners. If Orochimaru were to get a hold of Sasuke's DNA in that eye, he'd be able to use the DNA to genetically rebuild that Sharingan eye, and it's not the craziest thing to imagine. Small cells have been harvested before to make limbs, like Amato taking the cells from Kawaki to make him another arm, or in the case of Orochimaru doing his time with Root, when he made Danzo's Sharingan arm. That same research led to the Shin Uchiha clones, each of whom have a Sharingan that can transform into a Mangekyo Sharingan, given Sasuke's cells are Sasuke's own, and Orochimaru would just be creating something that came from Sasuke's own body, similar to Amato making Kawaki that new arm. Recreating an eye or even cloning an eyeball isn't the craziest thing to imagine, because again, he's made the Shin Uchiha clones, and Orochimaru's own two sons are clones of himself, and since Sasuke's own chakra would be there wouldn't be any risk of Sasuke's body rejecting the new eye, since it's made from his own genetic material, which would give him the ability to stabilize his Susanoo when he does use it again, versus if he were to do so now, based on what we've seen in the past, he wouldn't be able to stabilize it because he only has one eye, which is a reminder, you only need both Mangekyo to awaken Susanoo, not to use it. Not only that, but since it's an eye made through science, there would be a change to the Susanoo itself, or even the powers of the eye. That brings us to the second option that we have to discuss here, which is we'll stay here with Orochimaru, but instead we're going to be looking at the Shin clones and Orochimaru's own technology. While none of us realistically think that Sasuke goes to Kabuto's orphanage and he dangles some candy in front of the Shin clones, lures them outside, and snatches their eye, he doesn't have to do so anyway, nor would he actually do it. It'd be out of character, because he can just merely go to Orochimaru's lab. Orochimaru still had one Shin clone left in the lab that was inside of one of his many test tubes. We were never told in Naruto Gaiden's manga what happened to that particular clone. We don't know if that clone went with the other Shin clones. We don't know if that clone was almost ready to come out the tube or not. There's a lot we don't know, so the clone might still be there. If that ends up being the case, Orochimaru can just pluck that eye out and give it to Sasuke, which would give him the bootleg magnet release power that those Shin clones have. But that brings up the question of, since it's another eyeball altogether, can Sasuke still use a perfect Susanoo if he had two eyes? And I venture to say maybe, because it's really tricky. The reason being is that with EMS you implant the eyes of a close relative, and the chakra from their eyes merges with your own chakra, but the Shin clones wouldn't be close relatives, and I'm not sure if having chakra that isn't even close to Sasuke's own would impact his ocular powers, because again, even though the Shin clones have the name Uchiha, they're not genetically Uchiha. We never got the answer to how Orochimaru was able to make a Sharingan eye, let alone a Mangekyo Sharingan eye, though there is some information in one of the light novels that does kind of give you the answer. So there are a lot of questions here that you have to consider. Now, the third option is essentially a Hail Mary, and the reason why it's a Hail Mary is we have two different scenes for the anime and manga, which is Sasuke going back to Obito's lab in the mountain graveyard and taking one of his original eyes, or one of the mini Uchiha eyes that were inside the lab itself. In the Naruto Shippuden anime, which I know 98% of you guys are most familiar with, we saw the lab getting utterly destroyed, with Sasuke using Amaterasu to burn everything inside. He's shooting arrows and etc. Whereas in the manga, we saw Sasuke kill White Zetsu, who was left behind to guard him, but we never actually saw him destroy the lab itself in Naruto Volume 58, and in Naruto Volume 60, in chapter 567, we saw Sasuke cut his way from underground and jump on top of the cliff overlooking Obito's hideout. And in chapter 574, Sasuke merely says he killed the White Zetsu, but nothing else is ever mentioned. And given the fact that Obito was implied to have hidden Nagato's other rinnegan somewhere, which might have been the lab in the manga, we don't know where it was actually hidden. It could have been in that hideout. There's a lot of question marks there. However, the downside to that is, assuming we do go with the manga continuity where the lab wasn't shown destroyed and the eyes are actually there, Sasuke would just be popping into his eye socket, an eye that's pretty much lost all of its light. Does having EMS in one eye and the chakra flowing through that eye restore the light to Sasuke's original eye? We don't know. It's all headcanon at this point. If he does implant another Sharingan into it, does his chakra overwrite the chakra of the other Sharingan? I kind of doubt it. However, here's the thing though. Given the story's building towards someone becoming an Otsutsuki god and wielding the power that should frighten everyone, it makes you wonder, how far will Sasuke take his permanent injuries as just being the price of his atonement? He said before that a shinobi works with the cards that they're handed, but even even for someone like Sasuke, this is going really far right here, especially given the ninja world is now facing threats that even Kaguya herself was aware were out there, while Momoshiki and Kinshiki were the ones directly named in the scroll in the manga continuity. Again, anime and manga, they handle that scene a lot differently. In the manga, she directly says like, yo, Momoshiki and Kinshiki as the two people coming to Earth that she's scared shitless are going to attack her. But the fact is that if you go with the anime version of the story, we know that there's a main branch of Otsutsuki that Kaguya was supposed to report to, a main branch who were fully aware of what Toneri did to Boruto, and we don't know what's going to happen with that. Does Sasuke just stick to his cards that are handed to him like he said, or does he evolve to better support the village until his students ready to take his place, much like how Sasuke told Boruto he needed to evolve to become a ninja using ninjutsu and science in the novels? We don't know if Sasuke will kind of take that approach. While you think that over, click here for the Spy Family video on Kryptonian Saiyan, or click here for this Naruto Explained video.